So back on Saturday, along with Roman Gonzalez's title challenge versus McWilliams Arroyo challenging for Chocolatito's WBC 112-pound flyweight title. There was also a card in Mexico, in Los Mochis, Mexico, with Carlos Cuadras defending his 115-pound title super flyweight against Richie Meprenum. Cuadras pretty much handled Meprenum, was able to outbox and dominate him, and eventually knocked him out in the ninth round. And afterwards, after this fight, Cuadras called out both Roman Gonzalez as well as Juan Francisco Estrada. So Cuadras, it looks like, is ready to, probably more than ready, really, to fight the guys that are considered pound for pound currently. He's 35-0-1 with 27 knockouts, and he's racked up some pretty solid wins along the way, making him, at the very least, the number 2 guy at the 115-pound division. The number 1 guy mainly being Naoya Inoue, by most people's accounts. You can argue the reverse, but by and large, I'd say Inoue really belongs number 1, and Cuadras certainly belongs number 2. His technical decision win over Sisakit Sorungvisai was a little bit controversial due to coming from a clash of heads. The fight didn't get to finish off, and it was a close fight. But Rungvisai is actually his mandatory, but failing him fighting his mandatory in Rungvisai next, which would be a rematch of when they fought in 2014. Since then, he's had several title defenses, about 5 of them. Cuadras would be very well in line to fight either Roman Gonzalez or Juan Francisco Estrada. Now, of course, both Gonzalez and Estrada have talked about moving up recently. Gonzalez was largely saying before the fight he's likely going to be moving up to 115. After the fight, he said he'll probably have one more fight at 112. But, I mean, who knows? He got a bit chunky between the Valoria fight and this fight with Arroyo. So it's entirely possible that he may just say screw it and just move up and, make it easier on himself. So that if he wants to, just cut the water weight at the last minute like he did against Arroyo, I wouldn't advise it, but I mean, if he wants to do it, there you go. Fight with Cuadras is a big fight, will be for his 4th weight class title, and against an undefeated, proven world champion level opponent. Same thing for Juan Francisco Estrada. Estrada has fought a number of very, very top, good level fighters. Since his loss to Gonzalez, his somewhat controversial loss, a lot of people thought Estrada won it. And moving up to basically take out a world champion at 115 before Gonzalez ever does, if Gonzalez does in fact have one more fight at 112, would definitely put Estrada pretty much at the front of the line. A lot of the Gonzalez versus Estrada rematch talks have been stalled by virtue of what they're both demanding in terms of purses versus what HBO was offering. Now that Gonzalez is trying to be a headliner on his own for his next fight, I'd be willing to bet a fairly good idea to have would be to build that fight. Have Gonzalez versus one guy and Estrada versus another guy on the same card. And I think Cuadras pretty much fits into that. Cuadras versus Estrada or Cuadras versus Gonzalez with the opposite fighter fighting somebody else on the same card would be an excellent fight, and it's not a guaranteed win. I mean, it'd be dangerous. It'd be just as dangerous as when Manny Pacquiao fought Hector Velasquez and Eric Morales fought against Zahir Rahim on the same card. Dangerous fights for both of them. One triumphed, one didn't. Here, we may see a similar situation. Kohei Kono's out there if both of them decide to move up to 115, so that could be an excellent way to do it. But I mean, otherwise, I'm pretty sure at least Estrada's probably going to be moving up since his talks with 108 champion Dani Nietes, who would have been moving up to 112 to challenge for Estrada, basically broke down. Talks broke down. And so Estrada was kind of eyeing Luis Concepcion, the interim WBA champion, in order to make his next march up to 115. But, Kono's out there. You got Cuadras out there. McJoe Arroyo is another possibility, but I think that's a bit more of an outside possibility because McJoe Arroyo, McWilliams' brother, of course, his twin, he has a mandatory fight with Joran Ancas that he still has to fulfill. And if he was to take any fight between now and then, it's most likely he's getting stripped of his IBF belt because of the fact that the fight was supposed to actually take place last week, and McJoe pulled out with a hand injury. So Ancas is definitely owed his shot. They already went through the purse bids and everything. Ancas' team, which is Manny Pacquiao Promotions, MP Promotions, wound up winning it, and so he's owed his shot before anything else. So McJoe Arroyo is a bit of an outside chance, or of course Ancas if he wins. And then Naoya Inoue's team still owes Omar Narvaez a rematch contractually since from their first fight. I'm not sure when they're going to put that into play. Narvaez's team seems like they're stalling just a tad bit on the rematch, but I don't know. It seems like it's a little bit of a Klitschko Tyson Fury situation where they're kind of stalling out, and it's stalling Inoue's career to a certain degree because Inoue wants to come to the U.S. and fight either Gonzalez or Estrada or both of them. He's looking to make a name for himself and do big things in spite of the fact that he's a pretty young new champion. And only 9 fights, 2-weight champion, and so set a record basically. Became a world champion in 2 weights in 8 fights. So he's since defended once since then, but he's looking to try and make history in boxing, which is a good thing to see. And really all these guys are trying to make history in their own ways, depending on what their goals are, and where they're at in their careers. Estrada's looking to get revenge on Gonzalez. Gonzalez is looking to break records and win titles in a bunch of different weight classes. The only other fighter to win world titles in all 4 weight classes in terms of the flyweights, 105 to 115, was Leo Gomez. So if Gonzalez pulls that off, he'll basically equal him, and then who knows, maybe he'll move to bantamweight one day and try and win a 5th world title. But as far as everything goes, Cuadras is probably one of the toughest opponents either Estrada or Gonzalez could fight at 112 or 115. Cuadras is a solid, slick defensive fighter. He's very mobile, moves around a lot, and he throws counter punches in combination as well. He's not one shot pot shotter type guy. He'll stick and move, kind of hop around the ring. Then he'll finally plant his feet, launch off a 3, 4, 5 punch combination, then boom, be right back on the move again. Very tough opponent and very tough style to look good against. He has a bit of an awkward timing as well, which makes it so a lot of fighters just can't really touch him very well. The Rung Visai fight, of course, was close. It was a tough fight. Rung Visai style is very much a pressure fighter style, similar to Gonzalez. So I think really just either any of those fights is really interesting. Kono's a bit more of a volume guy, a bit more of a banger, so he's definitely going to be an action fighter. But Gonzalez and Estrada both always bring it. Cuadras is always looking to bring it, and he's always taunting his opponents in the ring too. So his opponents tend to get a little bit pissed at him for trying to clown him in the ring, and so his fights are usually more interesting than they probably otherwise would be if he was just dominating him and just being emotionless about it. So Cuadras called out both Chocolatito and Gallo Estrada. I'd love to see either of those fights, and I really hope that if one or both of them move up, that they fight somebody like a Cuadras, somebody like a Kono, and if Gonzalez has one more fight at 112, I think his mandatory Narpampo Chokchai, another undefeated fighter. What was he? About 33-0, if I remember correctly, 34-0, something like that. Very tough opponent, very very tough opponent. Another kind of boxer puncher, good on the move, and when he plants his feet and launches, he throws like hellacious shots to the body and the head, mixes up real well. So there's several excellent opponents for these guys to fight, and I'm hoping that they go after the best and the brightest. Cuadras is one of those, so I'm hoping that he gets a crack at one of these guys, which is kind of ironic because they'd be getting the crack at his title. But so goes it sometimes when the bigger fighter isn't as popular as a smaller fighter. Hopkins, Trinidad, for instance. But there it is, and on to the next.